Hi everybody, my name is John. I am the lead for Hazelnut Community Farm.
And I'm Pippa, and I'm married to John and part of Hazelnut, a former trustee and a vicar in East Bristol.
And the reason we're doing this video today is we want to introduce the first annual summer book reading list. So what we want to do is give you some ideas of books that you can enjoy reading over the summer, and also some ways that we can talk about these books in the autumn. So it's kind of a little bit of a mix. So we're going to do a bit of a book club, yeah? So I'm going to start off with our recommendations, and they're going to be, the theme is kind of two themes, is eco books and some fun reads as well, yeah? So the first one I'm going to start with is The Parish as Oasis, an introduction to practical environmental care. This book is going to be one that we're going to have a Zoom on in September, and the dates you can find on our website when this video is posted. This is a really practical book. It's great in terms of how to get your church or community doing practical eco things, and it's a lot in line with what we do at Hazelnut. And so I think this is a very good, interesting, practical read that could give you lots of ideas.
And I'm going to recommend two books, I'm cheating already, by Norman Wirzba, who is one of our favourite authors and theologians at Hazelnut. And This Sacred Life is one of my favourite books, basically talking about how we got in the mess that we're in, and from a really philosophical and theological and kind of broad perspective, and what we can maybe do about it, and sources of hope. I think it's a brilliant, great book. It can be a bit theological at times, so if you want kind of it in a slightly more accessible form, then it would totally recommend Making Peace with the Land, which is going to be thinking about the same themes but maybe a little bit more accessible. But I still love this, so putting a vote in for that one.
And we certainly won't mention us fighting about who would introduce This Sacred Life, as it's both of our favorite book. Anyway, Pippa won. Second book, and this book is also going to be one that we're going to discuss in September over Zoom, and it is Braiding Sweetgrass, Indigenous Wisdom, Scientific Knowledge, and the Teaching of Plants. This one doesn't come from a faith perspective, but it brings together indigenous wisdom, plant wisdom, and scientific knowledge. I think there's going to be a lot for us to learn and encounter through this. So this is very, very exciting to be able to read this and chat about this book. So pick this one up. You can get this one anywhere.
And I'm going to recommend a Richard Rohr book. He's a Franciscan priest and contemplative and mystic and theologian. And so some of you may have heard of him before. And this book, Simplicity, is one of his older books, but it's all about the freedom of letting go and the simplicity of following Jesus, and what that means for us as church, what that means for us as people. It's a really excellent, deep but simple book. And I thoroughly recommend it to you. I've been reading it since the beginning of the year and going through it slowly because it has so much to kind of ponder and think about. Really reflective, really beautiful, really wise. It's a really wise book, so I really recommend that to you.
Do you want to do your next book too?
Oh, my next book. Straight on to my next book. So I'm recommending this without having finished reading it all, but from the bit I've started reading, it's really thought-provoking. So it's basically a rewriting of history. So we often think of history in kind of stages of development of what it means to be humans, and humans in villages and cities, and we're kind of told this story of development. And this book is slightly debunking that to help us imagine different futures effectively. So maybe we don't need massive government. Maybe there's other cultures and other ways that have developed really functioning societies through history that we don't really talk about or know much about, and actually have a ton to learn from as we try and imagine better ways forward. So from what I've read so far, it's brilliant. It's quite in depth, but I'm loving it as furnishing like different images and imagination for the ways that we could be in the future together. So loving that.
Thanks, Pippa. All right, the first of the fun books. Now, I read Gone with the Wind because I was doing this challenge to read BBC's 100 books to read before you die. I've not read them all, and that's why I'm still alive. But I figure when I read the last one, I'll just die. So I'm taking it slow. But I came across Gone with the Wind. I never would have picked this up or even thought about picking it up. It never crossed my radar, mainly thinking of the movie. It's a big old one, but I loved it. I loved it from beginning to end. The entire thing. It's different than many like Dickens, like larger books that are serialized, so they kind of have that huge roller coaster ride. This is more of just this arc of a story that encaptures this whole time in American history. And I say you should pick this up and read this for sure.
I still haven't read it, but I really should. My fun read recommendation is Invisible, because I keep giving it away because I enjoyed it so much. It's CloudCuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr, Doerr, and it is a brilliant story set over different timescales, going right back into kind of like 1400s Constantinople to the future on a spaceship, which sounds a bit wacky, and all different timescales in between, with this beautiful interwoven story about the importance of story, really, the importance of telling story and how it brings us together and gives us hope. It's just exquisite and a really beautiful kind of holiday read. I loved it so much, I do keep giving it away, so I think that's a good recommendation. I think it's a brilliant and beautiful and hopeful book.
Fantastic. So those are our book recommendations. When you click on the link to watch this video, if you want, it'll take you to our YouTube channel, Hazelnut YouTube channel, and I will put all the links of how you can get that from an independent bookseller if you're in the UK, so you can get all the books this way. We'd love to hear what you think. Yeah, and happy reading this summer, and we'll see you for chats around Braiding Sweetgrass and the Parish's Oasis in September, and that information will be on there as well. Bye!